Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining the Get Local podcast. My name is Joanne Fowler, and I am your host. I am a partner and also a business coach with Get Local, which is a community for business owners. We are so excited to bring you today's episode where we're going to dive into the world of local entrepreneurship, and we're also going to bring you some valuable insights of being a business owner. We're broadcasting today from 864 Sound Studio, and we're so excited to be here. Thank you so much for joining us today, Justin.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Yeah, we asked Justin to join us today for two reasons. One, he is a local business owner, but secondly, he is also a veteran. So thank you for your service,
Yeah, you're
Justin.
welcome.
I
You're
appreciate that. So we like to bring in the local businesses, Justin, to kind of talk a little bit about who you are and what you do, a little bit about your business, because we want to get the word out about you. But the second reason why we bring you in is because Get Local is, we're really focused on helping local businesses, small, medium businesses that have got established in the upstate. And we want to give them some encouragement, some words of wisdom. And so we like to bring other business owners in. So I want to kind of start with you today by talking a little bit about your ministry called
Sure.
Kingdom Men, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about Kingdom Men.
Yeah, so, I've been blessed and thankful. I always say blessed, thankful, and challenged, because that's kind of the world of entrepreneurship when you have faith that you live in. So I started Kingdom Men because I'm passionate about helping men recognize their value in life. As entrepreneurs and business owners, we get busy, instead of in business, we end up being in busyness. And a lot of times we get our leftovers and our families get our leftovers. And so I'm super passionate about helping men primarily understand, who God made them to be and operate in the harmony that God created us to operate, in the space of entrepreneurship and business and life as husbands and fathers, primarily mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and financially. A lot of guys, we just don't end up paying attention to ourselves. And then we fall apart by the time we're 50, 60 years old. We build this whole thing our whole lives. And then we end up at the end of the road and we go, I don't like the road I built.
Wow.
So that's kind of that's the reason it exists, and that's the reason I do what I do. I got lost myself in business, doing things and just distracted. We get distracted a lot of times in business. Again, I always say, don't be in your busyness, be in your business.
Right.
But how often do we get distracted like that, right?
Right.
So-
I love that. So you're trying to get men to change the journey of life for themselves, right?
Exactly. So I always, what I find a lot of times is men don't really understand the destination they're headed towards. We have some very random goals in life, but we don't have specifics to that. So what I do is I help men identify where they want to go. And then I always say I help them build the bridge to get there.
Okay.
Between where they're at and where they want to go. Identify some metrics. Life and business is a math problem.
Right.
We identify some metrics to build that bridge, and then we go on the journey. And the reality is that they're the captain. I'm just the co-captain. It's kind of the way that I put it to them. They get to drive the boat, but I kind of get to help keep them on course on that bridge between where they're at and where they want to go.
So are you a program? Are you a coach?
Coach.
You're a coach.
So life coach, business consultant, that kind of stuff, help people understand the math of their business and then their life as well, and building that bridge. And identifying the tasks and, like I said, the metrics, the math really to get where they want to go, but also help them specifically identify where it is they want to go. A lot of times in life, we identify words like wealth or legacy, and we don't really put metrics to that. What does that mean? And it has a different meaning to everybody.
Right.
So, yeah.
So how did you get started with Kingdom Men?
So it started out, I was a productive, successful real estate agent, and I share a lot on social media. Social media is a powerful tool, and people started to reach out and ask if I would mentor them.
Oh.
And so then I was like, okay, I will. Yeah, that seems like a great way, an opportunity to give back and give to people and help people grow. And it's a huge blessing to see men kind of take ownership of their lives and the destination and the journey that they're on, and then start to walk a different path, because it not only impacts them and their business, but also their wives and their children.
Yes.
We get lost in business. Men, we want to charge forward and do the things and build something and create things, and then we're not sure if we're really cutting down the right forest.
Right.
So that's how I got into it. That's how I got started.
So how long have y'all been in business?
Been in business less than a year. So
Okay.
I launched Kingdom Men about February of this year. Just because that's when men started to reach out and go, "Hey, I see your content every day. Will you mentor me?" And I thought, well, yeah, this seems like a great opportunity. And then what I really found and got passionate about is men need it. We need somebody to hold us accountable and tell us the truth about life and our business. A lot of times we have good ideas, and our family and friends oftentimes will support our good bad ideas.
Right.
You know,
Because they love you.
because
right?
they love you.
That's right. Go do it, honey. You can.
Yeah, you can do it, and then nobody's going, "Hey, did you look at your balance sheet? Did you look at your income? Did you look at your cash flow? Is that a good idea?" And and then they go, no, that's not a good idea." So helping men navigate that kind of stuff.
So, I'm a woman, of course, and you're a man. So, we have different perspectives. But do you find that men say they want the help, and then when they get started, they really don't want the help? They struggle with
All
getting
the time.
it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, men, it's funny that you mentioned that and bring that up because it is true. It is true. A lot of guys, they go, I really want to do this thing. And then when you start to put together a kind of a system around that, they go, yeah, I really like the visionary part.
I just want to get to the end.
I want to get to the end. Yeah. And it's like, oh, you mean I got to get in the numbers or do the tasks every day or pay attention to the things or even have hard conversations.
Yeah.
Part of the coaching, is it's not all about business. It's also really about the man themselves and the husband and the father and having hard conversations with your spouse. I encourage men to have a business meeting with their wife every week. And talk about their calendar, talk about their household, talk about their finances as a family. But nobody likes to pay attention to that stuff because it's often not where we want it to be. But that's why we want to pay attention to it. But on the flip side, that's why we don't pay attention to it.
Now, I know you're a man of faith. So is your program a faith-based program as well?
It is. It's based off of biblical principles. Don't beat people over the head with the Bible necessarily, but it is based off of concepts and the men that God calls us to be. God calls us in His Word to operate and function in a certain way. And I mean, even speaking about myself, there's times when I don't, and I need kind of a gut check for that. So it is a biblically based coaching program.
Do you find that hinders you somewhat with people joining your program? Or
No. It's funny because it's often a funny subject, when that comes up. A lot of people ask that question. But here's the funny thing. The Bible's actually full of really good advice.
It really is. I agree with you.
Yeah. So, a lot of people go, "Oh, that sounds kind of weird." I'm like, okay, well, give it a shot, right? Give it a try. And what's funny is I usually find that the spiritual and mental piece of the puzzle that we coach on are tied together. And what's also funny is some men are reluctant to dig into the spiritual part.
Right.
But 100% of the time, when they do, the mental part gets better. And then also, when they dig into the spiritual part, they get a little bit addicted to it.
Yeah.
So, no, I don't think it hinders me, but it's definitely a conversation that we have and comes up. And again, I don't beat people over the head with it. They get to be the captain of the ship. I'm just the co-captain. But it really is full of good advice. Business advice, life advice, marriage advice. There's a lot of good advice in there.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you started your business a little differently than most entrepreneurs that I talk to. So you had people coming to you, wanting you to provide that service, and you had so much of that you decided to create a business. Most people have a great idea. They start a business and then they struggle to get the customers. So do you find that you don't really have an issue with bringing in new clients?
I don't have a huge issue either in the real estate side generating leads or the coaching side of the business because I go fishing. I use the old redneck saying, if you don't go fishing, you can't catch a fish.
Right.
You've never been fishing or you've never caught a fish and not gone and do it. What I find about entrepreneurs is that we are really terrible about telling people what we do and sharing the story and sharing that journey with people. And so then people don't know.
Yeah.
And social media is a powerful tool.
It really is.
And I think a lot of people underutilize that and they don't go fishing.
Right.
And it's because, their friends or family, oh, you post too much. You talk about what you do too much. You should talk about what you do. You should be excited about what you do. You should share that with people. There's 8 billion people on the planet. And so when you share your story with somebody, there's a good chance you're going to be able to stir up some leads. But I know a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah. Well, being a real estate agent, and I know I'm one as well, you have to talk to people about what you do, because there's a lot of real estate agents out there. And if you don't tell someone that you sell real estate, or you don't tell someone about your Kingdom Men business, then they're going to go somewhere else and get it, right? Because chances are somebody's eventually going to need to buy a piece of real estate.
Yeah, it's 100% true. I've had some different mentors over the years, and they always tell people what you do. Tell people what you do. And what's funny about real estate is everybody loves to talk about it. And usually whatever you do for a living, I don't care if you sell tables or notebooks or sunglasses or hair or whatever you do for a living. If you're passionate about it, people will enjoy talking to you about it.
Yeah, I agree. Well, tell me a little bit about your I call it a program, but
Sure.
your coaching.
Sure.
So when someone comes in, are they with you for a year, 6 months, 3 months? Do you have a set time that you say, hey, come in and let's follow, what I've outlined for so long?
Absolutely. So 90-day, 3-month minimum.
Okay.
And it usually takes about 6 months. What I find is it takes about 7 weeks. It takes about 7 weeks to really get somebody to even come to terms with themselves about where they're at in life or where they're at in business. Because men, we have pride. I mean, we all have pride, and so we carry that hat, and then we don't really want anybody to open the book. Well, they like to look at the cover, but don't open the book. And so it takes about 7 weeks to get somebody to kind of open up and kind of complete the initial paperwork and really get on a level of playing field where they're honest with themselves about where they're at in life and then where they want to go. And then it usually takes there's 2 other triggers there. The 3-month target, it takes 90 days. It takes 90 days to really start to change anything. And then it takes 6 months of sticking with it for people to wake up and go, I'm paying attention to myself, and this is doing something for me.
Wow.
So it takes about 6 months.
It takes about 6 months. Now, let me ask you, because again, we like to cater these podcasts to kind of help businesses, other local businesses in the community. So you're kind of a new business for this particular ministry, but it looks like you've been in business for a long time.
Right.
But what would you tell a new business owner if they say, I'm thinking about starting a business? What would you say?
Sure. The number one job of an entrepreneur or business owner is revenue, right? Generating sales. You can have the greatest idea or product on the planet, but if you don't have anybody to pay you for it, that's the first hiccup that people run into. And I know a lot of people that start businesses and they have great ideas and they create a Facebook page or they get a business card, and kind of like what we were talking about the lead generation part is they don't have anybody to hire them.
Right.
And so what I always recommend to people is find something you're passionate about and then go do it. Talk to people, tell somebody, and see if you can get somebody to pay you for what you do. And then that's really the first step. So if you're starting a business, find people to hire you.
Yeah, right.
Kind
of do it. A lot of people are doing it backwards in a way. Because like what we were talking about earlier, you had the clients first and then you created the business.
Right. So
instead of creating the business and hoping the clients will come.
Right. I always say hope is a bad business strategy. Hope, which is funny, we had a power panel earlier this week, and a guy talked about hope, and hope has its place. Hope is a huge thing in life, in faith and those kinds of things. But as a strategy, if you've got a blank piece of paper, that's not a good strategy. So, but you nailed it. A lot of people do it backwards. They start a business and have nobody to work with. But if you generate somebody to work with and you identify a problem to solve, then people will pay you for it.
Yeah. So what has been your greatest joy of starting your business? What would you say makes you the happiest?
Seeing people's lives change. Seeing the impact that it makes, seeing them smile out of joy, and then seeing their family change. Seeing the household environment change with their spouse, or seeing their spouse get on board. I'm speaking from my own personal experience in my own life.
Yeah.
When your spouse gets on board and you see men spend time with their kids, like I get text messages from the men that I coach, and they're playing with their kids, they're spending time with their families, and they're still entrepreneurs. And so that's a huge blessing to me to know that, like we're making generational impact.
Yeah. I think that's so key, generational impact, because, I think with the woke culture that we're in today, men are afraid to be men and to be the leaders of their home.
100%.
But it's needed, and I agree with you regarding prayer. If we go back to our founding fathers, for the Constitution, and when they met in Congress, they prayed. Faith was a very important part, and the men didn't see that as being less manly
Right.
to be able to pray, right? And they were leaders of their home, and they took responsibility. So I think you have a wonderful ministry that that men should step up and participate in.
So thank you.
And not be afraid to, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I agree. The idea of manhood and what that means in today's society and a lot of different, venues, I guess, or spaces is kind of confusing. I mean, men should cry. We should engage with our children. We
Right.
should pray. I always say be the leader of your life or be the lion of your life, in our household and our homes and even in our businesses.
Right.
Faith plays a huge role in business. Just yesterday, a business partner called me. We've got a really interesting business thing that we're navigating, and it impacts about 30 families from a different country. And so it rests on our shoulders. So yesterday morning, he calls me up, and we prayed. He prayed on the phone, I prayed on the phone, and that's how we started our day. But I can tell you this, too. We were talking about, does it hinder your business, or does it hinder the concept of coaching with men and that kind of stuff? And here's what I found is it really kind of flips the script. It actually adds value when you learn that you can have faith in the Creator that created you and your eyeballs and your heart and your heartbeat and all the amazing, your children, whatever it is that you are in awe of in life. Could be your dog or your cat. But when you understand that guy created you too, and there's something special inside of you, then you can do anything, and you can endure anything. We always just gotta wake up another day and keep going. So faith plays a big role in that.
It does. And look, the reality is you're not going out in the streets and saying you, and you join my ministry.
Right. No, I'm not.
Come to my company, let me coach you. People are coming to you who know who you are, and they see who you are,
Right.
most importantly, I would believe. And therefore they're saying, I want some of what you've got. Can you teach me how to do that?
And that's kind of the story of joy and faith.
Right.
In the Bible, it talks about, when we get saved, people see that in us. The fruit of our lives kind of is the testament to our testimony. And so when people see that, or they see the joy or the faith that you have, they go, man, you just seem to have it together. And I don't, okay? Because it's complicated, but I have faith.
Right.
And so having faith in that, gives me peace and joy. So you're 100% right. People do say that.
Well, and not to turn it into, a Bible lesson by any means, but, people follow Jesus everywhere. Everywhere he went, they followed him because they saw something in him.
Yeah.
And, I think when you're a good business owner,
Yeah.
regardless of whether you have a faith-based business or, you have a trade or whatever, I think if you're a good person
Right.
and you have integrity and you work hard and you're honest,
Yeah.
I think people want some of that. They want to see what you're doing. They want to help you grow by sending other people to you. So, all of that I think is important in living the lifestyle that we really need to live, right?
Yeah, if for me myself, I hold myself to a high standard of values and integrity, because if I'm going to be the guy to coach these men in business and in life and as a husband and father, then I've got to be the guy too. And so you're 100% right that we live a certain way, and people want to understand a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
That's why I love sharing the story, and I post so much on social media, is because I love encouraging people. Like
We need it today in this
we
world.
do,
I mean,
and there's a lot to be encouraged for.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever been to a third world country or anything, but
oh yeah.
we got a lot to be thankful for. I mean,
Yeah.
we're sitting here in a nice room having a podcast on a Friday.
Yeah. Well, and when you go to those third world countries, I've been to Cuba, the Philippines, and also Dominican Republic. And when you go to those places, they all look the same. They're living in huts, dirt floors. They have nothing, and they're the happiest people.
I was going to say, and they're so full of joy.
They're the happiest people you'll ever come across.
Yeah.
They really are. And here we're striving for, and I love the journey part about, maybe you think the end of your journey is to be rich and famous or whatever the case may be. And you get to that place, you never make it there, and then the whole journey's been wasted, And so I think being able to get people to take a step back and say, what is the journey really? What does it really look like? What should it look like? What do you really want at the end of that journey? Let's don't waste it and look back at 72 and say, gosh, this isn't what I really want in my life to look like, right?
Yeah, and that happens a lot. We arrive at a destination in life, or we built a house that we don't even like to live in. And we sit down and we go, I mean, I did it for a long time, chasing, stuff or money and things like that. And I, woke up one day and, I'm like, my daughter's 9 or
Yeah.
8. and I'm going, I'm missing the whole spectrum of what really matters. And it's easy to get sold on that idea in business as an entrepreneur.
Right.
And in the real estate space too, we hear words like hustle and grind. And when I think about those words, I don't necessarily think about business or making money. But when I hear grind, I think about, well, how hard are you grinding for your life or for your children?
Good for you. That's great.
Because that's what really matters. Our kids are going to get older. We're going to die, right? Because we all do.
Yeah.
And they're going to tell a story about us one day. And what's that story look like?
I love that. What's that story look like? Well, Justin, what can you tell an entrepreneur who may be listening to us today who's saying, I'm struggling, I haven't been making it, I'm going to give up?
Sure. So I'd tell them two things. One, if it ain't working, shift, right? So pay attention. If you're spending all your effort, time, or money on something and it's not working, ask somebody for help. And then shift, right? So ask somebody for help and then go, okay, well, this isn't working. And then listen, take their advice. Because if it's not working, if you're spending all that time, do that and you're burnout. And then also keep going.
Yeah.
We're a lot closer to being the next version of ourselves than we think we are up here because of a story we tell ourselves. So just don't quit. In fact, I wrote a blog this week about we should be better at not quitting. Like if we just didn't quit, imagine how far you could go.
Right. That's good advice.
Yeah,
I like both of those.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So those would be the couple of things, and I apply that in my own life. Those are things that I kind of tell myself because I've had to go on that journey about, man, we just want to quit. It's easy to quit. I mean, in real estate, it's a tough business. And so a lot of times you're like, oh man, I just want to give up. But then God didn't make us to be quitters.
Yeah, that's right. We give all the reasons why we can't make it. We need to give ourselves reasons why we can't.
Yeah.
Right?
So instead of paying attention to how bad it is or how bad it may get, what if you shifted your perspective and paid attention to how good it could be?
Yeah, I love that. Well, I'm so excited you came. I have one final question for you. I didn't tell you what it was.
Okay.
I always do this for my guests.
Got a surprise question.
Got a surprise question because I wanted your real raw answer. So if you could have one superpower, what would it be and why?
Now, that's an easy one. So it would be to fly.
Oh my gosh, you don't know how many people want to fly.
Really? They don't or they do?
They do. So tell me why.
I love to fly. It would just be so cool. If you could just travel and be places and just fly, like be up in the clouds. I love to fly anyway. And so that would just be neat to me to be able to, I have dreams about it, about being able to fly. Yeah, that would be if I could pick a superpower, it'd be just to fly like a bird.
Fly like a bird. Now, I'm going to tell you, people are going to hear this podcast and they're going to say, I want to be a part of Kingdom Men. So tell our listeners today, how do they contact you? How do they get more information? How do they become a Kingdom Man?
Sure. So easiest way is you can go on the website, bekingdommen.com. You can look me up on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, or Facebook as Justin Rogers Official. And that's the easiest way to reach out to me. There's an application on the website to fill out, and you can hit me up. We can get on an initiation call and call it an interview. I'm interviewing you, and you're interviewing me to see if we want to work together. But that's kind of the first steps of getting set up. And then to be a Kingdom Man, that's a journey that we're all always on, including myself. I don't know that we ever really arrive at the destination. It's more of a search, and it's that journey piece that we get to develop ourselves and become a Kingdom Man, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and financially.
And Justin, I really didn't hit on it, and I hope I have a little bit of time left on the show to just ask you this question. As a veteran, do you feel like coming from that world of discipline and the camaraderie, being with a team, do you think that helped you to kind of build the Kingdom Man philosophy?
Absolutely. So veterans right out of the gate have a mutual respect for each other. There's a community in the veteran community. It doesn't matter who you are, where you are, what you do, that there's a veteran sense of connection right out of the gate. It could be social media, and there's a mutual level of respect. And the discipline and the camaraderie definitely tie into Kingdom Men principles. We want to be a part of a pack. We want to be part of a group of men that are doing things. It's kind of like the movie 300. They were a group of guys, and they were kind of conquering. But we don't really, we live in a world of tolerance and not accountability. And so there's not really a group of men that are conquering together. And so, I think that the veteran community and that whole concept of discipline. Discipline in my life is a huge thing. I love camaraderie and love discipline.
Well, my husband was a Navy man, so I'll give a shout out to the Navy.
There
What
you
branch?
go. I was in the Air Force.
Air Force. All right, there's your shout out.
There we go.
For the Air
That's
Force.
it.
Well, listen, I appreciate you coming. Thank you for your service and
Thank
the
you.
time that you served our country. We really appreciate that. I think your ministry and your business is awesome.
Thank you.
If we have any listeners out there who are men, please join Justin. Check him out. He gave you his information. I just want to say thank you for joining us. I hope that you will stay tuned for our next episode where, again, we'll bring in another local business to talk about the challenges, the successes, just bring you valuable insight on what it's like to run a business, but also to share some information on their business. Be sure to follow us on all of the platforms, Facebook, all social media. We're on all of it: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. You can find us anywhere. If you'd like to join our business community of just business owners, it's you can go to our website, getlocalconnect.com, find out more information. Please come back and watch us at our next episode where I bring in another local business who's going to share some information with you. Justin, thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a
See
joy.
you next time.
See you.